Hello everyone, it's Brianna Ray from BriIY, and I am here to bring you an attempt at preserving my wedding flowers. So as you can see, I have this ridiculously old clip of me back in May, right after my wedding. I'm pretty sure this was only a couple days after my wedding, where I was attempting to iron press my flowers. I read online that this was a great way to speed up the pressing process because frankly, I didn't have any real means of keeping these pressed for a very long period of time. And I guess I just thought that I knew what I was doing, and I'll be honest with you, I definitely did not. I really loved the way that these looked when they were pressed, but I guess I didn't press them long enough, but I also wasn't really sure when they were going to be done, and I didn't want to burn them, and especially this white one here, you could see it kind of started to discolor, and I got nervous, and really, I loved the way that this looked by the time I finished with it. I wanted to make some sort of pressed flower art to preserve my flowers, and it just didn't turn out very well. And you're probably wondering why I'm telling you all of this and kind of zooming through this project. Well, I'm going to make up for it, I think. I have found two better ways to preserve my flowers, but I had all this footage and I just wanted to say, look, if you want to press your flowers, please just press them the right way. Don't be like me because it's going to turn out badly. So I actually do still have this frame. It actually broke because the flowers weren't pressed the way that they needed to be pressed, and all of the flowers like carbonated or something. They all turned black after a couple days, even with like the air to kind of let any moisture escape. It just turned out super badly, and I was super upset. But I still have the frame. I still have the date of my wedding on here, and I still have a picture of what the flowers looked like, as well as this ribbon that I pulled off of my original bouquet. So what I'm going to do is I went and I hung all the rest of my flowers to dry in my garage for several months, and I'm actually going to take this frame and try to paint the flowers back onto them. So without further ado, let's cut to this month. Oh, hello. It's been months at this point now. It's September. And I started filming this the week after my wedding in May. So I finished drying the flowers. They're dry. I hung them upside down in my garage for months, and now they are dried. Some of them are a little spiderier than I'd like, but I just got a shadow box, and we're just gonna do it, okay? I also think I'm just going to print off a picture of what the pressed flowers looked like, because I don't even think I got a clip of this, but they like molded. Obviously the pressing did not work. It was a bad idea from the start. Oh wow, it was really bad. It looked really bad. Like it got all black, everything like it like carbonated or something, and it turned completely black in there. And also it actually broke the frame. I'll show you in another clip as I'm finishing it, but I was just gonna do a shadow box thing for today because I have this shadow box here in a nice white, and I have like all of these extra little things left over from my wedding. You know, our name tags, I have like our place cards and stuff like that. You know, the head table, I've got extra everything really. You know, favors, some of the pins and stuff from, I mean, just from everything. And I just kind of wanted to make something cute. And I just hope that's good enough to satisfy me, since I didn't contact somebody to preserve my flowers ahead of time. Alright, and there is the shadow box. Alright y'all, so I'm going to attempt to paint this. I'm a little nervous, I'll be honest. I printed out a reference of what the flowers looked like at one point. That way I can kind of use it to my advantage. I am going to kind of start from the outside with the greenery and kind of work my way in. And I have a nice palette of purples, greens, and whites to work with. I got all of my softest, roundest brushes that I think can imitate and emulate petals, so that this can maybe look as pretty as I want it to look in my mind. Okay, I haven't really gotten much to the flowers yet, but I got to one, and I actually quite like the way that it's turning out. It's kind of supposed to be this one that's a little jacked up, but it's supposed to, I think, be one of these. These are the Lysianthus with the really dark purple on the edges. So, of course, I just put the white down and I kind of layered it so that it kind of looked like the petals falling on top, and then dabbled the purple at the tip and then kind of stroked it into the petals a little bit. I like the way that the acrylic is laying down. Way more than I thought. I was going to have to layer this up a lot more, which is great because now I don't have to worry about mixing a whole bunch more paint. But yeah, I actually am liking the way that this is turning out. I'm going to go in and, of course, all my lighting just went away. What the heck was that? So I'm going to make sure the lighting comes back, and I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Alright, so on this last flower here, I kind of decided to let the colors blend a little bit because it's not really a true white. It's actually far more yellow, but I really don't want to add a whole bunch of yellow in here. I do technically have some yellow in these, like, I think what these are hosta flowers down here, and I think the greens are a little bit more yellow as well, but I don't think that's very true to the invitations we have. We think we have a lot more like bluey greens. Now I'm just kind of going to keep swirling and like adding these layers. The biggest thing I found that was easy to do here is to kind of create the petals with the strokes and let the texture of the paint kind of speak for itself. And overall, I think I did a pretty decent job of keeping everything together, maybe except for this hole here. So I think I'm actually just going to add in some more of these like purpley flowers kind of on the outside, and then dot in some of these like eucalyptus bulbs here. And of course add in this like sort of brown dotted center, which I'm probably just going to do with the back of my brush. I don't think it looks as good as maybe I would have ideally wanted it to in my head, or as close to the original maybe is a better way to put it, but I do still quite like it. And when I started washing the brushes, the water started kind of messing with the paint a bit, and the only color that I've actually had to replenish on so far was the white, which makes sense for as much of this as I'm doing. But yeah, I'm actually quite happy with it. So I'm going to fill in some of the green down here, fill in some purples up here, and I think we'll be in a pretty good place. Alright, now I'm kind of just going in and adding in some final texture details with this little brush here. This fan brush, that's what it's called, just to kind of add in some of those darkest darks that I want. And I do think that based on the picture, I do need a very dark, like blackish brown in the center here, and I will be doing that. In fact, I kind of like the way that this looks, so I think I might take in some of these parts down here that don't have as much, what's the word I'm looking for, as much dimension, I suppose. For whatever reason, I think maybe the colors got a little too blended. I do want a little bit more clarity in some areas, so I'm just gonna make sure that all the areas that I want to have those highlights and like clear color differences, but not in such a dramatic way. The best part about working with glass is that I can always just kind of chip away things I don't love or wipe it off and start over, especially with acrylic. And I don't love this leaf up here, so I can kind of scrape some of it away and just fill it in. Of course, this is not exactly what it looks like, but it's definitely inspired by, and I don't hate it. So I think that's pretty important. So of course we have this chain up here that is used to hang it. The problem was that when I pressed the flowers originally, it actually broke off the hinges at the top and bottom, and I just think it needs to be back together, because what's beautiful about this part is that this is the ribbon that held my flowers together, and I have these nice vinyl letters, and I would just like for all of that to come together nice and pretty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab some gel super glue, and I'm going to press this back together as if it were pressed flowers again. That way I have the finished piece. So let's do it. There is one last thing I wanted to have on video, just kind of for me. I got these adorable little acrylic signs with these bases from Amazon, and I had this idea way back when I thought we were going to be writing our own vows, that I was going to use the Cricut to copy out our vows and kind of create this like display for them. Unfortunately, we were told we were not allowed to write our own vows at the ceremony venue that we were at. So I did end up writing a little something for my husband in the form of a poem. I'm not going to include the whole poem on here, but I did think it would be nice to kind of include the focal stanza of the poem that I wrote him, just as a part of our little wedding memories, and just to remind him how much I love him whenever he walks into the living room. I already have my Cricut copying out all of the words. Since this is going to be clear, I wanted to have like a nice white wording on the back. It normally does like open up, this thing does, to stuff a photo in there, and I think that might be something nice to do, like a nice desaturated photo of us. Alright, I've got most of everything together. I'm just getting all these centers of these letters out, you know, the G's and the E's and all that, A's, blah blah. But just so if you were actually interested in what it says, the stanza from the poem I wrote my husband is, "You are my opposite, you're my complement, and together we make something more complete." I thought up the idea for this one quite literally in a gas station, and I told him that, because what's more authentic than just like randomly thinking about your husband and your love on your way to your, you know, preparing for your wedding day. This was probably like a month before our wedding, and I was listening to Opposites Attract by Paula Abdul. And I was like, you know, this song is garbage. Not, Paula Abdul's not garbage, don't get me wrong, but like, this is like baloney. I hate the idea that opposites attract, because it's not really opposites in my opinion. I feel like, you know, the reason that people, you have to be able to fit together, right? Like, you can't be so ridiculously opposite and not agree like on anything. Some things, you know, some things are really difficult to work past as a couple if you're not kind of on the same page. So I thought maybe a more apt term would be that a complement, or a kind of like a positive and negative. Instead of a positive and negative force like a magnet, it's more like this. It's more like fitting together like two puzzle pieces, right? So that's kind of where this idea came from. Alright, bit of a pro tip here. If you're like me and you can't find your transfer tape anymore, I just layered a whole big bunch of, what's the word I'm looking for? Painter's tape. It's not as see-through, obviously. That's kind of like the major problem, but it does get the job done. You know what I just realized? I have a printer. So I took one of my favorite photos. This is actually my phone background right now because I love this picture that much. This is our, you know, our bubble picture right outside the church. And I desaturated it by like 75%, and I'm just gonna slip it in here. And there she is. So it's like us in the background and the white on the front. I'm starting to think maybe black would have been better, but you kind of get the, because it's layered, you kind of have like the shadow effect underneath it, which I think kind of makes the letters stand out. Now all I have to do is, well, I'm going to pull this out first because it's kind of difficult to shove it in there as is. So I'm going to pop this in like that and then shove it into here. And that is a cute little wedding memory. And lo and behold, we have wedding memories abound. I've got my shadow box with my dried flowers from my bouquet, my belt, my pins from my my veil. I had a cape veil, so I used these pins to hold it up. The party favors, which were these bottle openers that looked like gold skeleton keys, and some mug coolers. I've got my garter right there. I was gonna swap this out with an extra copy of our invitations, so that's something I have coming up. We got just some extra ribbon, envelope with the wax seal. We got my flowers kindly painted to look like my wedding bouquet. It's not perfect, but it does the job, and it has the date, which I love. And of course, we've got the most recent one, which is a little piece of my vows for my husband. So yeah, that is actually all I had for you today. This was a long video in the making. I just kept putting it off and kept putting it off, but I'm so glad it's finally done, and I cannot wait to display these things in my home and have these memories for years to come. So thanks so much for watching. If you like what you saw, feel free to like and subscribe. I put out new videos every Sunday at noon Eastern Standard Time, and I would love for you to be here for the next one. Thanks again so much, and I hope to see you then. Bye!